The state of Oregon is going through what is being described as one of its worst fire seasons on record. Officials in Oregon are bracing for what they are calling a mass fatality incident.
People need gas, so we're open to as much as we can here to get people so they can still move and the firefighters to come in.
Now, that's how one Oregon resident is reacting to the wildfire situation. He is saying he is going to ride out the fires and try to help people fleeing from the flames. As we mentioned, fires are burning all along the U.S. West Coast, from Southern California all the way to the U.S. Pacific Northwest. Dozens of people have already died, and officials are predicting historic levels of destruction by the end of this fire season. More than 1 in 10 people have also been forced from their homes in Oregon. Camilla Bernal is with CNN and is tracking the wildfires from Salem, Oregon.
What you can see immediately is the smoke, how thick it is. I'm going to step out of the way just to show you. This is a roadblock that we came to, and they will not let anybody through because of the smoke and because of the flames. But authorities say that firefighters are having a difficult time even seeing the fire lines because the smoke is so thick. You can't see 5 or 10 feet in front of you. And so that is both difficult, not only for the families who've had to leave this area, but for the firefighters who can't see from above and who are having trouble seeing on the ground as well. And so that is in part why there is so much destruction. And this is just a small portion of this massive fire. We know that there are dozens of people who are reported to be missing. And so that is why they talk about possibly increasing the death toll as we move forward. And we already know there are dozens of homes that are already destroyed. We've seen them as we've been able to drive through some of the areas. We saw the flames this past week, and thankfully the weather conditions are improving. It is a little bit colder. It is better in terms of the wind, but this is just getting started. We're at 0% containment, and so the firefight is in the beginning stages. Officials are saying that this likely will remain and that you will see flames until we get rain in the fall. And so it is a difficult thing to hear for those families who've had to leave. And we're talking about 500,000 people who are under evacuation orders or evacuation zones. That's more than 10% of the population of this entire state. And so these people are still out of their homes, not knowing if when they return, they're going to find a house or if they're going to find ashes. And that's a difficult thing to digest.
And heartbreaking as well, because we are, sadly, and we need to warn people at home, what you're going to hear next is disturbing, but we are getting a bit of a glimpse now into the human toll of these wildfires.
That's right, and it is unfortunate because we're starting to hear the stories of the people who are affected most, and that is the people, of course, who were not able to get out of these flames. We heard the story of 13-year-old Wyatt Tofty. He was trying to escape the flames with his family, and the family telling us that he was found inside a car. They believe he was trying to get to that car to essentially find some sort of shelter, and that just unfortunately didn't happen. He was found with his dog in his lap, so the family said in a weird way that gave them some sort of comfort knowing that he was with his dog. The 13-year-old boy's mother is at the hospital right now. She is in serious condition with severe burns, and his grandma, unfortunately, also was caught in the flames and didn't make it. And so it is these types of stories that we begin to hear as time passes and as this fire continues to grow, and it is just difficult to hear and to see because it is likely going to affect more families moving forward.
And our thanks to CNN's Camilla Bernal. Now, as we talk about these wildfires and as they continue to wreak havoc across California as well, more than 40 are currently burning, including the largest fire ever recorded in that state, the August Complex Fire. At least 19 people have died and thousands have been forced out of their homes.
We're married 41 years. Everything we owned is gone.
No, they said on the news last night that people should prepare to be away from their homes for at least a week. And the fire is really close to the area where we live, so we're sure that we'll be among the longest out.
It's been really difficult. We were just uplifted, you know.
What'd you see, hon?
Just right behind us, the mountain was just glowing red, and the ashes is just terrible. It's sad.
The California governor, Gavin Newsom, is calling the devastation in his state a climate emergency. And for more on the connection between these wildfires and climate change, we're now reaching out to climate scientist Peter Glick. He's the co-founder of the Pacific Institute, and he is right now in Berkeley, California. So, Peter, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
Listen, I want to begin with an article that you wrote for The Guardian, published yesterday. And in that article, you say, all the warnings that we have heard about climate change is now coming to fruition in these wildfires. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's been a very stressful time, as your previous show just described, for everyone, physically and mentally. We're waking up to red skies, to smoke, endless smoke. We can't go out. And what we're seeing is the clear evidence that humans are now influencing the climate. I mean, we've been seeing this evidence coming for a long time. The climate community has been very clear about this. The West has had fires for many, many years. This isn't new. What's new is the scale, the intensity, the speed of these fires and other natural disasters we've been seeing around the world. This is, unfortunately, the beginning of clear human influence on the climate.
Does this mean then that you can draw a direct line as a scientist between climate degradation and the fires that are happening right now along the U.S. West Coast?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. But I do want to be clear. We're not saying that climate change has caused these fires. Fires, again, are common to the western parts of North America. What we're saying is we see the influence of human climate change on the intensity, the speed, the scale of these fires. They're bigger, they're faster than they would otherwise have been without the fact that we're warming the climate, we're changing rainfall patterns, we're drying out moisture from our soils and our forests. That's the signal, that's the human fingerprint of climate change on these natural disasters.
Now, as you noted in your article, 5 of California's worst forest fires are happening right now. So a wake-up call for the U.S., at least you hope a wake-up call for the U.S., but also for other countries like Canada. Talk to us about the situation. We're seeing it in the United States right now, but what type of wake-up call is this for a country like Canada, to whom you're speaking to right now?
Well, so fires, of course, are just the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. We also see the fact that the Arctic is disappearing in the summer. We're losing the ice cap on the northern part of our planet, which has enormous influence on Canadian weather, on Canadian conditions. We're going to see more wildfires, and we have already seen more severe wildfires in Western Canada. We know that sea levels are going up and going up rapidly, and that's going to affect any country like the US or Canada or much of the world that has exposure on the coasts. All of these things are signals of human-caused climate change, and unfortunately, it's not that it's bad now; it's that it's starting to get worse and worse in the coming years.
I wonder then, now that these fires are here, is it too late? The fires right now burning across the U.S. West Coast, and given the fact that it's going to take years for any policy to actually have its effects felt, is it too late to affect any kind of change right now?
No, that's a great question. And the answer is no, it's not too late. But we have to do two things. We have to work to deal with the consequences of climate change that we can no longer avoid. Those impacts like more extreme fires, like rising seas, like changes to our agricultural sector. But at the same time, we have to work to prevent climate change from getting worse. That is, mitigate greenhouse gas emissions so that the climate changes we're seeing hopefully slow down rather than speed up in the coming years. So we have to adapt to these unavoidable impacts that are here, but we also have to mitigate to prevent those impacts from getting worse.
And if it doesn't happen?
Well, then we're seeing rapidly accelerating climate change. What we're seeing in the West is going to continue and get worse. We're going to see problems along the coast with agriculture, with public health. All of the range of impacts that climate scientists have been warning are coming for a long time. We're going to have to learn how to deal with.
Peter Glick, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.